Another 89 rookie report card. Before these rookie report cards, we do all of these guys when they're coming out of college into the NFL. Jayden Higgins had one, Steve, that really impressed a lot of our viewers. They loved our breakdown of Higgins. He was kind of a guy that was hanging under the radar a little bit. Not under our radar, not under your radar. When you ask people around the league, man, this was a favorite of some teams and kind of a steal. I remember one GM telling me somebody's going to sneak into the first round and take this guy.
I thought so too.
Blown away. Yeah, it didn't. Yeah. That didn't happen, but that was the thought that some people had. Didn't mean he can't play if he's not picked in the first round, because he certainly can. Your initial thought before we get into the specifics of Jayden Higgins, because I know you loved him when he was coming out. If you want to go back and watch that breakdown, everybody, you can, of those rookies coming into the NFL.
Well, I love Higgins coming out of Iowa State, and he's just been one of those guys out of Iowa State where all of a sudden it's just becoming one of those schools where they're producing a lot of wide receivers who are efficient, who knows exactly how and what to run and how to impact in the league.
Football players.
I love the way Jayden Higgins, he's kind of just been sprinkled in a little bit, but near the end, he's really come on. And one of the reasons has to do with that I have to say this because I wrote it down. And I said, beginning of the season, he was very robotic. He was just running his routes. Oh, they said run this. And then as he started to get more comfortable. He started to get back to what he was in college, where he started to put his style and his flavor on the route that he was running. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, things start opening up. Sure hands. Some people would put him in the same category. I don't know if I would yet, but he damn sure has those traits of sure hands like a Larry Fitzgerald.
Oh.
Right? You like just that. Know when you're throwing the football, snag it, high points the ball, does a great job.
Mm-hmm. I think you're right. Fitz is an interesting name to bring up. I like, but when you think about it, and I talk to people in Houston, he's really coachable. He's got really good length to him. He's got good route versatility inside and out. I'm kind of curious, is that part of a slow start, Steve? When he was learning multiple spots, he was learning different things. Sometimes that's a lot on your plate as a young receiver, and like you mentioned, starts figuring it out on the back end of the year, understands space really well, has a good feel for where he's at on the football field. These are really good traits that the Texans love about him. I wanted to tell you this, and this is I think the coolest thing that I got from inside that building in plans of this. In pads, he runs faster than he did at the 40 at the combine.
Yeah,
he runs past defensive backs. Their fastest defensive backs in practice with pads on. And I think that's something that makes you a real threat as a wide receiver. You ain't out there in your shorts.
We get so concerned with 40 times, and we knock people who don't have good 40 times. We prop up people who have outstanding 40 times. But none of that tells the complete picture of anything. And just the way he runs his routes, how he gets in and out of breaks, he's just a smooth route runner. And he's a big man who can drop his weight and get in and out of breaks pretty impressively.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I think part of that is what, Steve? Is that being able to drop your weight? Is that your footwork? Is that starting from the ground up?
That is footwork. That's also understanding how to do it, how to do what you're doing. But most importantly, is he's been working on that, right? Mm-hmm. Big guys don't drop their weight and shift and become shifty like he has. And learning multiple positions in the beginning does slow you down because you're thinking. Mm-hmm. And it's going to take a little bit of time for you to get more comfortable. But once you get comfortable, once you know what's going on, that's why things have opened up for him, right? And, man, it really, everything started to click. Mm-hmm. I believe, just based off the film I was watching, man, Week 5 versus the Baltimore Ravens is kind of where things started to shift for him, where he said, okay, this kid knows exactly how to play in this league. And the game started to come to him versus Higgins trying to implement his game. Does that make sense?
No, it's a really good point. Especially in a new offense, that the quarterback's learning a new offense. They lost C.J. Stroud for a stretch. You have Nico Collins. You have Dalton Schultz behind both those guys. I think he was third in yards, catches, targets. He was kind of that third. And I think you're right. And to me, with what you're saying is, and this is the question I want to ask you, is he seems to make the most of his opportunities.
Yes.
If you ask D'Amico Ryans or Nick Caley, who runs that offense, it's, he's a big part of our offense, but we run a lot of different personnel groups. We do a lot of different things. Sometimes we don't get him the football and get him targeted as much as we'd like to. But if it comes to him, he's coming down with the football. What is that mentality like? How hard is it to have that when you know you're the third, maybe fourth option most of the game? But when it comes to you, he makes plays.
I think it's a really difficult thing to do, especially with the Houston Texans. And let's break that down. When we talk about the Houston Texans, their defense is outstanding.
Oh, yeah.
But their offense, at times, hasn't been always great. It's been inconsistent, and a lot of that has led to the inability to really have good protection sometimes consistency up front. That it's very hard to know which play do we call because we can't block anything up. We lack to make adjustments. And we don't want to run the football sometimes. So now we just putting everything on C.J. Stroud's hands against a poor offensive line, and all of a sudden he's supposed to make chicken salad out of chicken, and that's just extremely tough. And that impacts everyone else around you, especially a young, talented receiver who's trying to find his way, but yet you have someone leading him, meaning inconsistent offense, that doesn't necessarily always give him a good, accurate perspective of what is expected of him.
Mm-hmm. That makes perfect sense. Another thing I got from in the building, they thought it was a really good season, really made great strides as it went on. That's similar to what you said. But the other part that I love is we think he still has a lot more to tap into.
I think you might be right. He will have the opportunities because, with Nico Collins being in the rotation, obviously Nico Collins being the number one wide receiver, their goal is going to be to stop, slow down, neutralize Nico Collins because they know the defense for the Houston Texans is remarkable. So with the defense being the way it is, you have to decide who do we need to take away and who are we willing to risk.
Great point.
And they're going to risk Higgins because they're going to put as much opportunities up at the line of scrimmage to blitz the same way the lack of adjustments that the Houston Texans made against the Kansas City Chiefs when they won that game. You got to remember, you go back to that game against Kansas City Chiefs, that second half, man, that third quarter was horrible offensively. They made no adjustments. They did nothing new. They didn't even try to run the ball. All they did is say, hey, CJ, line up in pistol or shotgun formation. Hey, thoughts and prayers, and try to figure out how we could stop this because, that dude, Chris Jones, yeah, he's big. Yeah, he can hurt you. Don't worry about him. We're still going to just –
I remember you texting me this while you were watching the game.
What
You're like, what's the plan here?
They haven't made one adjustment. They haven't figured out that the Kansas City Chiefs are not quitting. The Kansas City Chiefs are not nailing it in.
And I get it. It's a completely different offensive philosophy than they had with Bobby Slowick the first 2 years of C.J. Stroud's career. C.J. actually wanted this change, to my understanding, to be a little bit different in terms of the way the offense is run, more control at the line of scrimmage. So a big change there. I wanted to ask you this because I talked to Kurt Warner about this, specifically this game that you're talking about kind of spurned this conversation between Kurt and I, that a lot of offenses in this league just do not have an answer for certain pressures. It's like, well, throw it away, we'll live for the next down. There's not like a hot read. There's not an answer. It felt like that Texans offense at that time just didn't really have it. Hey, CJ, third and long, love for you to make a play, man. That would be great. When you're a player like Jayden Higgins, who I think obviously can do a lot of things as a receiver, there's a lot of things going on within this offense, Steve. If you're a timing guy, a good footwork, route running type of receiver, and some of these things are breaking down with the pressure right away, that throws everything off. And so, yeah, I just, by the way, you were heated during that third quarter. I remember.
I was so upset because I'm watching the game and you could see that literally in that third quarter, leading pretty much a lot in the first 5 to 10 minutes in the fourth quarter, or they just didn't make any adjustments at all.
No.
And it was frustrating because I think it was 3 or 4 drives.
The first 4 drives of the second half.
The first 4 drives, they all looked the same. I remember they had, I think, at one point, one of the drives, they had the ball for like 35 seconds.
Yeah.
The play clock is 24 seconds. God. Think about that. Think about that. Mm-hmm. They ran 3 plays, 10 seconds each, between the ball being incompleted, the referee, the ball boy throwing the ball to the referee sitting the ball down, them calling the play, break, huddle, bang, do it again.
And complete again. Yeah. Oh, man. All right, what are your grades?
When it comes to home security, you want to feel like you could pick the system that actually keeps trouble away. Not one that just tells you something bad already has happened. That's why I like Simply Safe Home Security. I do a lot of traveling, especially with the playoffs coming on right now. Everybody knows where I'm not, and that means that I'm not at home. Simply Safe uses AI-powered cameras outside of your home to spot the real threats and instant alarms with live agents, and that's extremely important. This is what it makes it different from the rest. Those agents actually take action while the intruder is still outside. They talk to them through the camera, and they let them know that they're being watched and the police are on their way. And if needed, they can blast a siren and light them up with a spotlight. That's what I love Simply Safe. They do a really good job of making sure that their technology is friendly. I'm not tech savvy, but working the app with Simply Safe and implementing and putting things around my home is simple. And it's easy and convenient, and I feel at ease because I know my home is now protected by Simply Safe. Right now, you can get 50% off any new system this month only. It's a great time to upgrade to security that actually helps stop crime before it starts. Go to simplysafe.com/89show. That's simplysafe.com/89show. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Route running to start this off.
Route running, give him a B. Just because he had a slow start, not believing in himself necessarily. I believed in him, so I had a higher expectation from him, and he didn't get there as quickly as I was doing, so I'm nitpicking. So I'll go with a B.
Okay. Acceptance of his role. I like this one a lot for him.
Hey, he's accepted his role and it's exceeded all expectations.
Yeah, Steve, when you make the most of, like, how does that work in a building? Like, it seems like we're talking about some limited opportunities, but always making big plays and making, coming down with the football when it goes his way. Can that turn quickly, or does that slowly usually snowball into, let's give him some more targets, let's design some more plays that would make sure that this is for him to get the football? How does that usually work?
It just depends.
Because he seems like he's earning it, right?
Yeah, it just depends on how each organization or what the offensive philosophy is and how many other players are in the room, right? Okay. Where it's contract wise, do you have a tight end who needs to be fed as well, right? And we saw Dalton Schultz the couple of years before. He's done really good, but he's lost a little bit of getting the ball thrown to him, and that that has to do with the poor offensive line play. But you can't have Dalton Schultz be the impact player, Nico Collins, right? And then you just skip those two guys and you start now feeding Higgins. So I just think that he has the potential to really show that he is that solid number 2 wide receiver that they can count on, especially with the absence of Tank Dell.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. All right. Big dog. Big dog potential here.
I give him a P.
Okay. A P for
progress.
Progress? Okay.
Potential progress. Just because, man, we don't really know what's going to happen with Tank Dell and how he looks in coming back. And the reason why is Nico Collins, yes, he's the number one wide receiver. But from what I've heard and what I know, that wide receiver room belongs to Tank Dell.
I've always heard that. He was kind of the alpha in that room, isn't he?
Yes. Mm-hmm. And so if the alpha is out because he's, that devastating knee injury.
Oh, I was there for that.
And brutal. He's trying to get back. You see his presence. Then, he's going to take and fall back into his role as big dog once he gets there. Okay. And that's Tank Dell.
I get that. Hey, this is what you're going to have if you draft players well and you got good players.
Yep.
You got to figure out which mouths you're going to feed here and the way that room works. All right, his transition to the NFL has been
A+, man. His transition from the NFL, you got to look. This is a team who used a second-round draft pick, and they did something that very rarely do teams do. Man, they gave a second-round draft pick more guaranteed money up front to say, hey, we already love what we see. We thought we had a chance to get you. We have a chance to get you, and we believe that you're one of our guys moving forward. And so they gave him a very unique second-round draft pick guarantee that you just don't – you have to look at that and say, man, they know something that all of us outside of the building don't know, but at some point you're going to see it. And we're going to be sitting there going, see, I told you. Some people say, oh, man, this kid is overnight success. Nah, he's not an overnight success. He's been working in the building. The same with Nico Collins as well. Working in the building before this last year and this year. He was working with Dre for a long time, trying to get right, trying to get better, absorbing all that information. And so they got Nico Collins, who's a worker bee. And then they got Higgins, who's a worker bee, and Tank Dell. So everybody in that wide receivers room, they bring their hard hat, and they haven't skipped a beat with Higgins.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I also talked to the other contract negotiators around the NFL after that Higgins deal and how frustrated they were with trying to negotiate their second-round pick contracts because it definitely threw everybody for a loop a little bit. Everybody's like, every agent's going, hey, you see what happened over there with Jayden Higgins? All right, potential. What do we got for potential here?
Man, based off everything I've seen and just how his game has elevated and how he started to really just work on himself each and every week, he's gotten better and better, and you can see his impact on the offense. He's a willing blocker as well, so he doesn't come in there tiptoeing in a run game. They expect him to come down and hit some safeties, hit some linebackers, hit some corners, and guess what? That's what he does. So, hey.
Man, that's a really good report card. But you know what? I think we saw it like this, right?
Yes.
And it was already starting from a really good spot. If you, again, go back and watch our initial breakdown of him from Iowa State, it was certain people around the league kind of felt this was happening, Steve, and it's like he lived up to it. And then some as this year's gone on. So I think there's a lot to like about Jayden Higgins for sure, and it's going to be fun to see how that offense continues to grow. Because the other part is, as we mentioned, how inconsistent this offense has been at times. The ceiling for C.J. Stroud is still all the way up here in terms of as a quarterback. I mean,
because it's not his fault that some of the things that are happening, he can't snap the ball to himself and block and then throw it and read the defense. That doesn't
I mean,
work.
If he could, payday's coming.
It'd be amazing.
He could do all of that. Yeah. Oh man, Jayden Higgins, love it.